Hey, good evening. Just a couple of more minutes. We have some folks still coming in, and we'll go ahead and get started, okay? Thank you all.
Whenever you're micing somebody up, just let them know that if they want to use a clicker to advance the slides, or they can just look at me and I can do it.
That's why I thought we should come together.
Joy know. Let them know that we're ready for them to get set up, ready to go. As soon as they give me the nod, I'll switch to the next slide. Okay. The girls in the corner.
Sorry. Excuse me. Whenever you're ready, just give Martin a look and he'll switch it to the next slide.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Whenever you're ready to perform, just look at Martin and he'll know what to do.
Thank you.
Hi. Sorry.
Good evening to you all. Talk back to me now. Good evening to you all. Good evening. Hope y'all as excited as I am tonight to celebrate this 10th African American Read-In. We have a special treat for you tonight to kick off the show, and we present to you none other than Savage Joy. Take it away.
Nicole Savage, and this is my partner Tiffany Joy, and we are Savage Joy. We're so excited to be here tonight. And we're having some fun.
I don't know because I don't know who's actually presenting and I don't know where they are. So I'm just gonna, I think I am gonna move over to there just to be able to jump in. Yes.
Dr. Nicklow.
Well, thank you so much and welcome everyone. It's so great to see you all here on campus for this wonderful event. Stacy and I look forward to these gatherings each year. You have a great lineup of speakers and readers tonight, including my best friend and partner, as well as a terrific keynote address and some fun things to hear, to see, and to do. So I'm just going to offer a few thoughts, introduce our host for this evening, and keep things rolling. It seems that across these read-ins, you have given a history, a key role alongside literature. I'm so glad you do that because our past is so valuable as we process where we are now. History is a connection, it's a path, it's also a warning. It's a guide and it's a mirror, and it can provide solace, it can provoke concern, but it matters. And as you explore that fertile and momentous period known as the Harlem Renaissance, we can see now how important it was, how in the words and paintings, songs and stanzas, these women and men captured something beyond beauty, power and expression. They really captured anger, pride, belief, rebellion. They demanded attention. The Harlem Renaissance awakened in African Americans across the country a new spirit of self-determination and pride. The National Museum of African American History and Culture noted. It launched a new social consciousness and a new commitment to political activism. We would not have a civil rights movement, historians agree, if it were not for this movement. What I draw from this period is a reminder of how much exists within each of us personally. Strength, artistry, anger, pride, and how in our own ways, separately and together, we can contribute to and help shape the world around us. In his book, The Big C, Langston Hughes wrote, "The only way to get a thing done is to start to do it. Then keep doing it. And finally, you'll finish it." Are we finished yet with what the Harlem Renaissance helped start? Opinions might vary, but I feel like there's a lot of work left to do. Our host tonight, Mr. Jordan Chandler, knows about the value of work. He knows about tenacity, compassion, and the importance of human decency. You can see why I'm so proud to call him a Panther. He was a recipient of a presidential scholarship to Florida Tech in 2016, and he went on to earn his Bachelor of Arts in Humanities and Pre-Law here in 2019. He's now a governmental relations consultant with Space Coast Strategy in Rockledge. More importantly and significantly, he and his wife, Bianca, are the proud parents of a beautiful one-year-old baby girl, Isabella Rose. Congratulations. His accomplishments are myriad and his recognitions plentiful. He helped establish a mentoring program in Brevard County, at the Brevard County Jail, that has seen 80% of his participants receive GEDs. That's incredible. And he led a successful countywide ballot initiative to create a workforce and housing trust fund that has received nearly $3 million to help spur more affordable housing developments. Jordan's been named Florida Tech's 2018 Greek Volunteer of the Year, and later that year he was presented the Young Citizen Award at the Space Coast Public Service Awards. In 2023, he was named one of Lead Brevard's 4 under 40 recipients. And there's plenty more recognition to come, I'm sure, Jordan. It's my pleasure to introduce a community powerhouse, wonderful ambassador for Florida Tech, and a steadfast supporter of African American read-ins, Jordan Chandler. Jordan?
Thank you so much to Dr. Nicklow for that wonderful introduction. I was hoping that he was going to shorten that introduction that I sent, that bio. So I'm so appreciative of you for doing that, and obviously to our First Lady, to Dr. Nicklow as well. Thank you so much for being here. And before I get into it, as they've said, I am a proud alum of the Florida Institute of Technology. And just over the past 2 years, we have watched how the morale from a faculty, staff, board of trustees, but also the student population, how that morale has come back. And we have a president who is so engaged. You watch the things that he does. You can follow him on Florida Tech Prez, on Instagram, and so many other things. But he has done a phenomenal job in the few short years that he has been here. So as a proud alum, Dr. Nicklo, we take our hats off to you. We say thank you so much for all that you do for Florida Institute of Technology. I am proud to be your host tonight. I was here for the very first African American read-in, and now here we are at year 10. And so I say good evening to you all. This evening we gather to celebrate the profound significance of Black literature and the vital role of African American read-ins in enriching our cultural landscape. Black literature offers powerful narratives that resonate with the struggles, the victories, and the diversity of the African American experience, also providing insights that challenge societal norms and foster empathy. These works are not just stories. They are reflections of resilience, identity, and resistance against systemic oppression. You see, they are the embodiment of tears, travails, and testimonies of those who may not have had a microphone. They might not have had a megaphone. They might not have had a platform, but they found their voice in putting pen to paper. In a nation wrought with racism and division, Langston Hughes begged for America to be America again, to highlight how oppressive policies kept people of color captive. Dr. Maya Angelou described the difference between a free bird and a caged bird. When they tried to silence us and prevent us from speaking truth to power, James Weldon Johnson encouraged us to lift every voice and sing. So this evening, let this African American read-in serve as a communal space where voices that have often been marginalized can be heard, promoting literacy, awareness, and appreciation for these invaluable narratives. Through collective engagement, we honor the legacy of influential authors while inspiring future generations to continue this important dialogue. So let us continue to come together in celebration of this rich history. And let us commit to listening, learning, and amplifying these stories, for in doing so, we not only empower ourselves, but also contribute to a more inclusive and understanding society. And tonight, you're all in for a treat as we celebrate the 10th annual African American Read-In. So tonight, as we celebrate one of those threads, Black culture seen through the eyes and words of African Americans who have come before us, and some now living among us. In her poem, The Black Family Pledge, the late poet and activist Dr. Maya Angelou said, "We are to pledge to bind ourselves to one another and to do all good things, knowing that we are more than keepers of our brothers and sisters. We are our brothers and sisters." First up will be fellow Florida Tech alum and founder of the university's Black Student Union, Ms. Faraha Merritt, followed by a glimpse into the field of psychology with aspiring clinical psychologist Paris Thomas and assistant professor of clinical psychology, Dr. Felipe Chavez.
Good evening. Good evening. first, but we're gonna take it. The poem I'll be reading by Miss Zora Neale Hurston is entitled Passion. When I look back on days already lived, I am content.
This is the
For I
old
have
one.
laughed
This is what?
with the
This
dew
is the old one. Let me get
the
you the
calm
new
of
one.
night. When the dawn of youth and spring's bright days, midsummer's bloom and autumn's ripening glory, my youth rejoice. And when winter bleak spread melancholy around, I still smiled on. And I have loved with quivering arms that clung and throbbing breasts, with all the white hot blood of maiden's flaming orange. My cool white soul has oft fared forth in astral ways, for none may lag when stardust hides the earth. The wing of dreams have swept me up to touch my feet on cloud and wander where none but souls dare climb. Thank you.
Excuse me, you two could just put these.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here are some. Is it working? Sorry, bear with us. Okay, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here are some of our Black luminaries in psychology. Okay. So these are our first Black psychologists, Dr. Sumner, the father of Black psychology, and the first African American to earn his PhD in psychology. Dr. Prosser is the first African American woman to earn her PhD in psychology as well. And Dr. White, he's known as the godfather of Black psychology and advocated for the creation and the study of the field of Black psychology. And he also helped found the Association of Black Psychologists. Dr. Mamie and Kenneth Clark and the Clark-Dahl studies evidenced that segregated schools damage the psyche of Black children, and they served as crucial grounds, argued by Thurgood Marshall, for the desegregation of schools in a landmark Brown versus the Board of Education Supreme Court case. And Dr. Kenneth Clark was later elected APA president in 1969. Dr. McAdoo's research influenced our understanding of Black children and families and earned her a spot on the White House Conference on Families appointed by President Carter. The next slide. The research of individuals here provided insight into the education of Black children. Dr. Claude Steele spoke on stereotypes that influence on Black self-esteem. Dr. Williams highlighted IQ testing bias towards Black children, and Dr. Danielle Tatum discussed racism's impact on Black children's education. Black children realized they did not belong in these spaces and had a mindset of they think I am, therefore I am, so why bother trying to disprove the inevitable?
In honor of our Black children and families, I am going to sing God Bless the Child by Billie Holiday, who through her music was an avid activist for the plight of the African American. Them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible tells me, and today still is news. Your mama may have, your papa he may have, But God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Money, you've got lots of friends crowding round your door. But when the money's all gone, they don't come around no more. Rich relations give crust of bread. You can help yourself, but don't you take too much. No, 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 no. Your mama may have, your papa he may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. He just don't care, 'cause he's got his own.
Okay, so these individuals here are developers of the ethnic identity models. Dr. William E. Cross Jr. created the Black Identity Development Model, and he's known as the father of identity models, and he set the standard for all the models on ethnic groups and minorities thereafter. Dr. Janet E. Helms created the White Identity Model, where white individuals confronted their privilege and power in society and moved towards cross-cultural allyship. Dr. Joseph E. Punto-Roto created the Biracial Identity Model. Next slide. And Dr. Eberhardt researched implicit racial bias, effects on policing and the criminal justice system, and further developed the implicit bias training. And this was exemplified in the death of George Floyd. Dr. Guthrie wrote...
That's okay. So in the spirit of activism, I think it was so poignant that Billie Holiday would speak about the heartache and the plight of the African American during racial injustice. And just a few years ago, we were battling those same injustices in the death of George Floyd. I thought it was also poignant that both made it on the cover of Time magazine in terms of these poignant moments in history. Good morning, heartache. You old gloomy sight. Good morning, heartache. Thought we said goodbye last night. I tossed and turned until you had gone. But here you are with the dawn. Stop haunting me now. Can't shake you, no how. Why don't you just leave me alone? I've got those Sunday blues, those straight through Monday blues. Good morning, heartache. Here we go again. Good morning, heartache. You're the one who knew me when. I guess I just better get used to you hanging around. Good morning, heartache. Sit down.
Dr. Guthrie wrote the book, Even the Rat Was White, which discussed how blacks were overlooked in psychology. As a result, the leading organization in psychology, the American Psychological Association, acknowledged and issues a formal apology. The American Psychological Association felt in its role leading the discipline of psychology was complicit in contributing to systemic inequities and hurt many through racism, racial discrimination, and denigration of people of color, thereby falling short on its mission to benefit society and improve lives. APA is profoundly sorry. We know too well that history can repeat itself, that the past informs the present, and that many harms will continue to be perpetuated absent of purposeful intervention. We stand committed to purposeful intervention and to ensuring that APA, the field of psychology, and individual psychologists are leaders in both benefiting society and improving lives. I am Paris Thomas.
I'm Felipa Chavez, and we stand on the shoulders of our Black heroes in psychology.
Thank you, Farah, Paris, and Dr. Chavez. Very powerful work is being done in the field. We're all the better for it. They had me on the script here tonight to sing a song by Billie Holiday. Since we're on a time crunch, I'm not going to sing it. Catch me after. Catch me singing in the shower tonight. That'll be good. Yeah. Let me pause here real quick. First, let me acknowledge we have District 1 City Council member here, Marcus Smith. And I think she's also here, former Vice Mayor and District 3 City Councilwoman Yvonne Minus. She's seen there. And that was all I think. Are there any other elected officials here or former elected officials? Where's Kenny Johnson at? My brother. Oh, Kenny! Conway City Councilman Kenny Johnson is here as well. Now we will hear a poem written by Arna Boton, an important voice during the Harlem Renaissance, read by BSU member Olu Wadumani Ajimoko. Following that, Professor Emeritus Keith Gallagher will be on the guitar with some Robert Johnson blues.
You could just pin this like.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Hope by Aaron Botam. Lone and dismal, harsh and dark, upon the waves floats an empty bark. The stars go out, the raindrops fall. Through the night comes a ghostly call. My lone and dismal life's afloat. Oh. And above the heights where the seagulls soar, the thunder lifts its resonant war. A jagged arrow, a flash is sent that splits the clouds with a double rent. And beyond my bark that drifts, moonbeams sail through the kindly rifts. Yeah, that's it.
Robert Johnson is the father of us all who play the guitar, play blues, and all that stuff. And last year we talked about futurism. Futurism, right? He was a futurist 100 years ago because we all follow the path that he got to play his music, right? And all the things that he did for us. And here it goes. God bless me. Some people tell me where was a bad, worst off feeling I most ever had. Some people tell me the worrying blues ain't bad. It's the worst off feeling I most ever had. Been seem like hours, now seem like days since my baby started to look that way. Been seem like hours, the hours seem like days. Oh, since my baby started to look that way. Get out of bed, look around for my shoes, like kids of them walking blues, yeah. Get out of bed, look around for my shoes. I got stinky feet, mean old walking blues. Some people tell me worrying blues ain't bad. It's the worst I'm feeling I almost ever had. Yeah, some people tell me worrying blues ain't bad. It's the worst off feeling I almost ever had. It's the worst off feeling I almost ever had. All right. Thank you. So kind.
All right, give it up for Dr. Gallagher. Passing around his hat for tips. It sounded a little bit like Elvis and Luther Vandross. Thank you once again, Dr. Gallagher, for that bluesy selection. Now let's turn our minds to the heavens as Aeronautics Associate Professor Dr. Oreen Jones McKinney highlights black trailblazers and pioneers in the field of aerospace.
Your World by Georgia Douglas Johnson. Your world is as big as you make it. I know, for I used to abide in the narrowest nest in a corner, my wings pressing close to my sun. But I sighted the distant horizon, where the skyline encircled the sea, and I throbbed with a burning desire to travel this immensity. I battered the cordons around me and cradled my wings on the breeze, then soared to the uttermost reaches with rapture, with power, with ease. So I chose this poem because it resonated with me as a metaphor for the lives of the Black luminaries in aerospace. I coined the first group the Trailblazers because they endured and overcame adversity, forging a path ahead for us. They were tenacious, they were resourceful, and eventually triumphant in achieving their goals. They include the first woman to earn an international pilot's license and the first man to own and operate a flight school of African American descent. We often hear about the Tuskegee Airmen who I call the collective. The focus is usually on the 1,000 black pilots or so, but we need to remember that for every individual, there were 14 other personnel supporting them. Nurses, cooks, aircraft mechanics, aircraft controllers, you name it. This dedicated team earned 150 Distinguished Flying Crosses during World War II. The pioneers, a group of highly educated mathematicians, astronomers, scientists, engineers, physicists, and doctors, who pushed the boundaries in their respective fields. Developing the multispectral telescope array to image the sun and logging in the most time in space for an African American astronaut are among their extraordinary accomplishments. The many. This is a group of past and living luminaries who are tireless in giving back to their communities, shining a light ahead for those who will follow. Great mentors such as Teresa Claiborne and our very own Winston Scott, former Dean of the College of Aeronautics and former NASA astronaut. The many in aerospace, some you may or may not recognize, far too many names for me to mention individually. I leave you with this challenge: pick your favorites and learn more about them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones McKinney. And I don't know about you, but I always love hearing about the Tuskegee Airmen. Their bravery was unmatched and their skill undisputed during World War II. That being said, we lost one of the last surviving original
No,
Tuskegee
they're
Airmen.
connected to the mic, they're not
Lieutenant
coming to
Colonel
the
Gary
speaker.
Stewart
What's
Jr.
feedback in? I've
earlier
had
this
to turn the
month,
mic so high because they're not
was
close
sorely
enough to the
along
mic
with
and they're
the
talking
others,
really quiet.
we
So
told
if
for
it's feeding
generations
mic,
to
tell them to
come.
go close to the mic and I'll turn
It's
it
now my
down.
honor to bring up two trailblazers here in Clark County,
That's just going to the
Nathaniel and Michelle Davis, owners of Essence of Knowledge Bookstore in Cocoa, the only urban bookstore in Clark County. And they will introduce us to our keynote speaker for tonight, Sonia Malone.
Would you mind putting this on? Oh. You got it?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Davis. This is my wife, Michelle, and we are the proud owners of Essence of Knowledge Urban Bookstore in Cocoa, Florida. We are proud to be here today to enjoy the African American reading, the 10th anniversary. That's big, that it's been around this long. But we are very proud to be here and introduce our friend and sister, Sonia Millard.
Yes, it is, Nate. Sonia is a dedicated culture coordinator at the Harry T. and Harriet B. Morse Culture Complex in Mims, Florida. Since 2013, she has been very active in sharing the legacy of the Moors, who gave the ultimate sacrifice in fighting for civil rights here in Florida in the 1940s and 50s. Her work has been significant in spreading the Moors story around the globe, from school field trips to the Center to cultural events throughout Central Florida, even seeing their story features in new articles, plays, and documentaries. And with that, I would like to say, where's Sonia at?
Wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, what I would like to say.
You got some more.
Okay, wait. Okay, this is important. Sonia is a phenomenal speaker, researcher, and community advocate whose work as a journalist and educator reached beyond the Space Coast. She developed a diversity training program at the Culture Center and has trained over 150 employees from Walmart to Starbucks. In addition, she blogs for the Wells Project, working to expand HIV awareness, and also an HIV/AIDS educator. Okay.
I thought you had some more to add to that. Okay. So many of you know that Sonia is a writer for Brevard's only local African-American newspaper, Ebony News Today, which you'll find placed around the library here in strategic places. Pick one up. She also is a member of the Florida African-American Heritage Preservation Network, whose work she'll be discussing later on when she comes up. Sonia's passion for community, culture, diversity shines through her work and her life.
And before I end with the last part of my speech, I do want to say this to Sonia. My sister, me and you, from Ben Kane, who is the owner, the editor of Ebony News that's in the back. Sonia, I want you to know that we see you. We see you walking in your footsteps. We see you sitting at tables and businesses where they don't want you. I see you, my sister. And with that, I am so grateful that you are part of Essence of Knowledge. And for you forevermore will always be my sister. I just want to let you know, I do see you. And with that being said, everyone please give a warm welcome for your keynote speaker, Sonia Millard.
So I really have to make you laugh because I was just sitting there, you know, looking and listening, and then I'm wondering, who's she talking about? Then I realized she was talking about me. I was like, oh, okay. So that's hilarious to me. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight, and it's my honor to speak to you about a topic that is not only close to my heart, but also vital in understanding the rich tapestry of our shared history, the fabric of our lives, focusing on the incredible contributions and experiences of African Americans throughout history. As we gather tonight, let us reflect on the profound impact that African Americans' cultural traditions and histories have woven into the very fabric of our society. From the vibrant rhythms of music that resonates through our streets, powerful stories of resilience and strength displayed in the face of adversity, the legacy of African Americans in Florida is both inspiring and essential to our understanding of who we are as a community. Let me introduce to you what we call FACA, better known as the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network. Now, I know a lot of y'all know me for the Harry T. Moore Center, but tonight I'm definitely talking about FAAHPN. This network plays a pivotal role in preserving and promoting our rich heritage. Their efforts not only honor the past, but it also illuminates the path forward, ensuring that future generations can learn from and celebrate invaluable contributions. Together, we will explore the milestones, the challenges, and the triumphs that have shaped the African American experience in Florida. So let us embark on this journey, discovery together. See, 25 years ago, in 1996, in Tallahassee, Florida, there was this little woman called Miss Altamise Barnes. And she used to discover, rediscover, document, you know, back in the days when you had the manual typewriters and that sort of thing. And they realized that these museum founders was concerned that the history of African Americans was being lost. It wasn't being preserved. So they established museums and historic structures. For example, a former African American owned schoolhouse, churches, businesses to serve as historical and cultural centers in their communities. Awakening to a denied, stolen, or forgotten part of American history. Their right to define their own existence took wings and became museum devoted to expanding the reach of knowledge as it's related to the value, benefit, and positive impact of African American history. This knowledge and desire to participate led a vision. So what she did was she took a bunch of small museums throughout the state of Florida and got together. And she would go to Tallahassee to put us under one umbrella, to use a voice, to lead us, guide us, show us how, as museums, to come together in one voice to sit at that table. Ms. Altamise Barnes is a prominent figure in preservation of African American history and culture in Florida. And let me make sure we're clear. She started the John Rowley Museum in Tallahassee. It is so important that we understand that under her leadership, I present to you a legacy that was birthed from her vision and carried with her soul, the Florida African American Heritage Preservation. Today, I stand before you with immense pride and excitement to celebrate the incredible work being done by the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network from our vibrant city of Melbourne, Florida. This dynamic network is a beacon of hope, resilience, and dedication to preserving our rich history. For far too long, the stories and contributions and legacies of Black Americans have been overshadowed or neglected. But thanks to the unwavering commitment, Altamise Barnes understood that it was a time for her voice to be heard. With each passing day, dozens of books and papers and photographs and diaries and artifacts, buildings, landmarks, and other valuable, important things to Black folks was lost or neglected, mishandled or ignored. So the mission was to promote the preservation of African American landmarks and legacies and assist statewide museums in discovering African American history, Native American history, and European history. It's so important tonight to understand that through this network, not only are 52 museums striving and thriving, but let us not forget the importance of education in this journey. Moreover, this network serves as a vital advocate in shaping public policy, urging legislators to recognize the importance of preserving our history. They remind us that preserving our history is not just an act of remembrance, it's a call to action. See, African Americans have an abbreviated history of participation in mainstream historic and cultural preservations. In recent years, we've seen the signs banning the books, erasing our history. But what we won't do is go away. So today, I urge each one of you to not only support the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network, but visit our local museums. And yes, all 52 of them. So in closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who's here tonight and who understands how vital it is to honor our past, understand our present, and shape our future. Here are several ways that you can help us in this important endeavor. Listen, visit the museums, visit their gift shops, donate, promote education, advocate for the inclusion of African American history in schools, organize workshops, local lectures or book clubs that focus on African American literature and history, such as Essence of Knowledge, bookstore in Cocoa, Florida. Digital preservation. Utilize technology to preserve and share African American history. By taking these steps, you can contribute to the vital work of preserving African American history and ensuring that the richness of this heritage is recognized and celebrated for generations to come. Let us stand united in this mission, celebrating the heritage, preserving our history, and forging a brighter tomorrow for all. Now, in the words of Sweet Honey in the Rock, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Thank you.
Please give another round of applause to Ms. Sonia Millar. Sonia, we thank you so much for your labor and your love. She talked a little bit about quite a bit of history tonight, but she is such a she has such a plethora of knowledge when it comes to Harriet and Harry T. Moore. She is over that cultural center in Mims or Titusville? Yeah. Mims. And so I met her probably about 15 years ago at the gravesite of Harry and Harriet T. Moore. And just over these years, when she tells that story, it gives me goosebumps. But she is has such a plethora of knowledge, and we thank you for keeping their labor and their legacy alive within our community. Because if you don't tell it and we don't tell it, then surely that history will die. So we thank you so much for always imparting into us so much knowledge and wisdom about our history. Thank you. And now we're going to switch it up and see how much history you. Matter of fact, I'm going to pick 15 people out of the audience right now and quiz y'all. Yeah. Councilman Marcus Smith, you first up. Yeah. And so, yeah. So we want to see tonight. We want to see. We want to see how much history. I think that's the Sandman coming out trying to sweep me on the stage. Yeah. See how much history you all know. And if you look on your seats, hopefully you haven't discarded that paper. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm asking you all a question. I want you to keep that paper. I don't know why I messed up my script here, but so, in asking that, have you all seen the flyer for this year's African American Read-In? Yes. Come on, it's like call and response. Have you all seen the flyer? All right, talk to me. So, not just the beautiful woman in red silk, but the figures embedded in her cloth. We're going to see how many of you know who those black luminaries are. Okay? Some will be easy to guess. And others, well, let's just say we won't be surprised to hear y'all hitting up Google for answers. So, while we prepare to feast on chicken and waffles, collards, sweet potato pie, prepared by Panther Dining. Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah. We ask that you look at your African American Read-In icon quiz sheets and put in your best guess for each person featured in the flyer. And you will have the rest of the program to try and figure it out. And the library purchased these 3 books. I'll hold them up for you. Langston Hughes, book by Zora Neale Hurston. And Nella Larson. Okay? So you have an opportunity, if you can answer your questions right, you have an opportunity to win one of these 3 books. So we ask that you complete the poems of Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Nella Larson. Make sure you put your name, right, and telephone number on the back of your quiz so we can contact you if you are the winner. Does that sound like a plan? Alrighty. Thank you all so much. And I think at this time we'll partake in some of that wonderful food that Panther Dining has prepared for us. Thank you all. I got another part here, I'm sorry. So now let us hearken back to 1938 when Richard Dickey Wells, a Cotton Club tap dancer also known as Mr. Harlem, opened up Wells' Supper Club. A staple was his famous chicken and waffles. So Florida Tech's expert chefs have brought to us a little slice of that after-hours paradise with today's refreshments. So we ask that you please form 2 lines at the table and serve yourselves. All right, thank you all.
You love me, that's special. Did you love me? Time you keep me on my feet. Excited, I feel cologne in your hands and your smile, your intelligence. You call me, you tease me, you please me, you fool me, give me things to think about, you guide me, you invite me, you correct me, you love me, you like me, you excite me, oh,
again for Savage Joy. And I do have some bad news tonight. My throat is not up to par. So instead of me singing, Dr. or President Nicklo is going to sing Nina Simone Feeling Good to close out the show. All right. So let us dig deeper into this cultural fabric with current BSU President Ariane Obizuwa, reminding us of Heritage by County Cullen, followed by Florida Tech's First Lady, Dr. Nicklo, reading the work of Alice Dunbar Nelson.
Is it good? Cool. Good evening, everybody. So while I'm up here, I'm going to give you guys the chance to do two of two things. One of those things is to become an honorary member of the BSU. Now you're an honorary member of the BSU. So the second one of those things is that you're going to learn how to do the BSU chant. So it goes, I'm going to say BS, and then you guys are going to respond, you know. So here's our first try. This is just a test. BS. You know. All right, here's the real one. I need to hear it. BS. You know. All right, awesome. You're not honorary members anymore. All right, today I'm going to be reading Heritage by County Cullen. What is Africa to me? Copper sun or scarlet sea? Jungle star or jungle track? Strong bronze mitten or regal black woman from whose loins I sprang when the birds of Eden sang? 3 centuries removed from the scenes his fathers loved. Spicy grove, cinnamon tree, what is Africa to me? So I lie who all day long want no sound except the song, sung by wild barbaric birds, goading massive jungle herds, juggernauts of flesh that pass, trampling tall, defiant grass. Where young forest lovers lie, plything trough beneath the sky. So I lie who always hear, though I cram against my ear, both my thumbs and keep them there, great drums throbbing through the air. So I lie whose fount of pride, dear distress and joy allied, is my somber flesh and skin, with the dark blood dammed within. Like pulsing great tides of wine, that I fear must burst the fire. Channels of chafing net, where they surge and foam and fret. Africa, a book one thumbs, listlessly till slumber comes. Unremembered are her bats circling through the night, her cats crouching in the river reeds, stalking gentle flesh that feeds. By the river brink no more does the bugle-throated roar cry that monarch claws have leapt from the scabbards where they slept. Silver snakes that once a year doff the lovely coats you wear. Seek no covert in your fear, lest a mortal eye should see what's your nakedness to me. Here no leopard's flowers rear, fierce corollas in the air. Here no bodies sleek and wet, dripping mingled rain and sweat. Thread the savage measures of jungle boys and girls in love. What is last year's snow to me? Last year's anything. The tree budding yearly must forget how its past a rose are set. Bow and blossom, flower, fruit, even what shy bird with mute, wonder at her travail there, meekly labored in its hair. 3 centuries removed from the scenes his fathers loved. Spicy grove, cinnamon tree, what is Africa to me? Thank you.
Good evening. As announced, I am going to read a poem by Alice Dunbar Nelson, but once an educator, always an educator, so I have a little bit of background and context to give you about the poem. Alice Dunbar Nelson was born in New Orleans in 1875. Her parents had heritages that included African American, Creole, Anglo, and Native American. She graduated from Straight University, which is now known as Dillard, when she was 17 and began teaching in the New Orleans public school system. She wrote prolifically in various genres, including poetry, short fiction, diaries, and journalistic essays, taking inspiration from the cultures she inhabited and from the racist and sexist perceptions she wished to change. She began publishing at 20, and at 24 published a collection of short stories about the Creole culture in New Orleans. Her poetry was regularly published in African American periodicals between 1917 and 1928, and she was also featured in James Weldon Johnson's seminal anthology, The Book of American Negro Poetry, published in 1931. Throughout her career, Dunbar Nelson was an activist for women's suffrage and civil rights and focused on journalism and public speaking in her later years of activism. The poem I'll be reading, The Proletariat Speaks, published in 1929, demonstrates Dunbar Nelson's unique ability to describe both splendor and squalor with equally exquisite language, creating images that bring the reader into the world of the working class African American narrator. This poem lays bare the disparity between the haves and the have-nots in the third decade of the 20th century, as told by a narrator ebbing and flowing between hope and despair. I hope you enjoy. The Proletariat Speaks. I love beautiful things, great trees bending green winged branches to a velvet lawn, fountains sparkling in white marble basins, cool fragrances of lilacs and roses and honeysuckle, or exotic blooms filling the air with heart-contracting odors. Spacious rooms, cool and gracious with statues and books, carven seats and tapestries, the old masters whose patina shows the wealth of centuries. And so I work in a dusty office whose grimed windows look out in an alley of unbelievable squalor, where mangy cats in their degradation spurn swarming bits of meat and bread, where odors vile and breathtaking rise in fetid waves, filling my nostrils, scorching my humid, bitter cheeks. I love beautiful things. Carven tables laid with lily-hewn linen and fragile china and sparkling iridescent glass. Pale silver etched with heraldries where tender bits of regal dainties tempt, and soft step services anticipates the unspoken wish. And so I eat in the food-laden air of a greasy kitchen, at an oilcloth table, plate piled high with food that turns my head away, lest a squeamish stomach reject too soon the glumpy gobs it never needed. Or in a smoky cafeteria, balancing a slippery tray to a table crowded with elbows, which lately the busboy wiped with a grimy rag. I love beautiful things, soft linen sheets with silken coverlet, sweet coolth of the chamber opened wide to fragrant breeze, rose-shaded lamps and golden atomizers spraying Parisian fragrances over my relaxed limbs, fresh from a white marble bath and sweet, cool spray. And so I sleep in a hot hall room whose half-open window, unscreened, refuses to budge another inch, admits no air, only insects and hot choking gasps that make me writhe nun-like in sackcloth sheets and lumps of straw. And then I rise to fight my way to a dubious tub whose tiny, tepid stream threatens to make me late, and hurrying out, dab my unrefreshed face with bits of toiletry from the 10-cent store.
Thank you very again, Dr. Niccolo, for those incredibly thought-provoking readings. And now we will have Melvin Johnson and Mark Smith shed some light on Black luminaries in our government.
Please put this on and then also speak directly into the mic.
Speak directly into the mic.
Yes, that will stop the feedback track.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let me adjust this mic. They say speak directly into the mic, as if I need a mic. My name is Marcus Smith, and I am Melbourne City Council of District 1. And on behalf of the Mayor, Paul Alfrey, my fellow city councilmen who are not here this evening with me, and our dedicated city staff, it is my pleasure to say hello. Welcome to Florida Tech. Welcome to Melbourne. Thank you for visiting our wonderful city. It is an honor to stand before you today, not to sing. I'm not going to sing. I'll leave that to Jordan. Dr. Niccolo. But to recognize and celebrate the contributions of African Americans, lawmakers and leaders past and present, whose work has shaped our lives, and our nation, and continues to impact American lives. From the national stage, you have leaders like President Barack Obama, Representative John Lewis, the first female vice president, Kamala Harris. To the local communities of Brevard County, these trailblazers have fought for justice, equality, and progress, ensuring that democracy serves all people and not just a privileged few. Again, at the national level, African American leaders have played a pivotal role in shaping policies that promote civil rights, economic growth, and social justice. Figures like Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Senator Cory Booker continue to push for criminal justice reform and expanded health care access. Congresswoman Maxine Waters has been a powerful advocate of leaders' financial protection and fair housing policies. Meanwhile, again, Vice President Kamala Harris shattered barriers as the first Black woman to hold the office of Vice President, inspiring future generations to break ceilings that once seemed unreachable. Beyond elected officials, we must recognize the contribution of leaders such as NAACP President Derrick Johnson, who fight tirelessly against voter suppression and racial injustice, and Reverend Al Sharpton, whose activism amplifies the voices of those who have long been silenced. Their impact extends far beyond Washington, reaching communities across the country. Leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream speech. And then we have here Harry T. Moore and Harriet V. Moore. Our sister Sonia Millard talked about them, but they were pioneers, civil rights activists, and educators. They founded the first Brevard County branch of the NAACP in 1934, and instrumental in registering over 116,000 Black voters in Florida and establishing the Progressive Voters League. I mean, these were things that people were doing back in these days over odds that seemed insurmountable. And what about at the local level? You have leaders like you see here before us. Leon Collins, who I heard his name before, but doing this research, I found out a little bit about him, Leon and Jewel Collins, right? Leon Collins became the first African-American elected to Cocoa City Council, where he served for a decade. Robin Fisher, my friend Robin Fisher right here, elected in 2007, became the first Black commissioner in Brevard County's history, and he further made history by becoming the first Black chairman of the county commission. Kendall Moore, and all the work that he did, been elected officer, and he continues to serve the community and give back and do wonderful things. Jolie Smith and Dick Blake, both have served as Rockledge City Council members and are recognized for their leadership within the community. Several buildings named after them in the city of Cocoa. These are local leaders that have made an impact, and we still have their legacy around us right now. And I see here Julius Montgomery, and we're here at Florida Tech. But you see, Julius Montgomery, he was the first Black city council member in 1969, following the merger of Melbourne and Eau Gallie. Montgomery became the first Black individual elected to the Melbourne City Council. And there's a picture, Yvonne Minus. Jordan mentioned her. She was the first Black female elected to the Melbourne City Council. So these are people that we know. Yes, hand clap. Capote, first Black mayor of Palm Bay. And then the local political leaders, so the current leaders. These are my colleagues who I'm currently serving with in different cities. Mayor Mike Blake, and he's speaking tomorrow at the Founders Prayer Breakfast. He's been mayor of Cocoa twice. He also has Stock Whittington, who is the city manager for the city of Cocoa. Dr. Michael Cador for the city of Rockledge. Herman Kane, he's up in Titusville. Kenny Johnson, where's Kenny Johnson? Right here, Palm Bay. Lavanda Hearn, Alice Goins, Cocoa. You have Reverend Sean, who's also for the city of Rockledge, and Sammy Brown Martin, who's also the city of Rockledge, and then myself, newly elected city councilman for the city of Melbourne for District 1. So, as you see, we stand on the shoulders of luminaries who've done a lot of excellent work. And the list goes on, right? This is just a very short list. I could have talked about some of the influential mayors. I'm from the city of Atlanta. Maynard Jackson, my good friend Andre Dickens, who went to Georgia Tech with me. He's now the current 61st mayor of Atlanta. And other mayors, Los Angeles, you saw the female mayor who's out there, the first black female. I mean, so you have all these influential leaders, and we're standing on their shoulders. But the real key to all of this is your call to action. This is your call to action. As I talk, you know, the work of these leaders nationally in our states and right here in Brevard County demonstrates the power of representation and the importance of having diverse voices at the table. Their efforts have paved the way for great opportunities, and not just for African Americans, but for all Americans who believe in justice and equity. But their work is not done. The fight for voting rights, fair wages, and equitable justice system continues. It is up to us to support, uplift, most important, participate in the democratic process, whether by voting, organizing, or running for office yourselves. We can ensure that the progress made by those trailblazers continues for generations to come. So I look forward to working with you and you and you as we continue to build a thriving and sustainable future for the city of Melbourne. Thank you. Oh, did you need this, right?
Thank you so much, Councilman Smith. And harping on that a little bit as well, what we talk about is so important to tell our history. He touched on Julius Montgomery, and one of the things while I was actually here at Florida Tech, I wrote about, or my thesis was 40 pages, and I had to write that to graduate, but I did it on the desegregation and integration of our public schools. I interviewed a few people, Mr. Charles Jackson, I think he was one of them. But in doing so, another thing that I discovered was that there are some other elected officials that we don't talk about as it relates to the city of Melbourne, or North Melbourne, the Galley. In 1962, Reverend Jesse Buggs, who, as we know, is Bruce Buggs' father, was actually the first African American to run for a city office in Melbourne, the Galley, whatever you want to call it. And he was spurred on by the Urban League at that particular point in time, so he really paved the way. Then in 1964, Ted Nichols ended up becoming technically our first black elected official here in Melbourne, if you want to include the annexation. But Ted Nichols ended up resigning from city council to pursue a job that he received in Miami. And so then another African-American male by the name of Rudy Von Slaughter was appointed to serve out the remainder of his term. And so then that led to, once 1969 came around and Melbourne and the Galley were annexed together, then it paved the way for Julius Montgomery to technically be the first elected official of the city of Melbourne. But, you know, to that point on end, this history is so rich, it's so deep, and if we really don't study it, those names like Ted Nichols and Rudy Von Slaughter and Jesse Buggs, those who really paved the way, will be lost in history. So that's just a little nugget from your life. So, it gives me great pleasure to welcome this thought leader and immensely talented brother, San Alexander, to the front to give us an original spoken word performance piece called Africa. And he will be followed by another great man, community leader, and Palm Bay Councilman Kenny Johnson, who will highlight the 9 black sororities and fraternities in the U.S. who move mountains daily and make it a mission to help their local communities. And afterwards, Kenny's brothers, the honorable men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc., will perform a step demonstration.
I kind of came up too early. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's up? Oh, really? You should have gave me this like 5 minutes ago, bro. Check. This thing work? Does it work? It don't even work. Is it working? Turn it off? Y'all didn't set me up right, bro. Look, this is what we gonna do. I'm gonna talk into this one, and we cool. I go by the name Son Alexander. You can call me Son for short. I'm a rapper, actor, a poet, and I kind of be out here doing my thing. I got my Harlem Renaissance on right now. By the way, you fresh, bro. I like the fit. You clean. I see you. I'm not gonna perform in this because I would if I could. This is really just for show, I promise. But I'm gonna do a poem today called Africa. And you know, I know the theme for this evening was the Harlem Renaissance and black culture in the 1920s. That's the attire. The poem I wrote is more, me as an artist, everything I do revolves around black artistry. So, and for me, I feel like everything in our culture that revolves around art especially is based in rhythm. Just for me at least. I know it's probably not all the way 100% fact true, but for me, a lot of our culture resonates from the rhythm that we created. And the poem I'm about to perform is actually about stepping. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I ain't getting naked. You gotta check my OnlyFans for that. Don't worry about it. Oh, don't do that. All right. So yeah, let me, I think I got space here. Can y'all hear me? Yes. All right, good. I haven't done this in a minute.
Y'all getting naked?
Chill. Woo! Listen with your eyes and look with your ears. The reverberation resonates relentlessly. The beat serenades your soul. The cadence captures you in a cocoon of captivation. This is the epitome of innovation. Origination traced back to the calloused heels of African tribesmen dancing in spiritual jubilation. The pride of a nation, their motivation, their movements, crisp, in unison. This band of brothers executes the procession with military precision. This was a warrior's rite of passage before marching into the valley of death. This is breath, the art of the step, its passion. This music was made to transmute emotion into a message, a war cry to the gods for a swift victory, sending thanks to those who were slain for our cause. A rain dance and request for a blessed and plentiful season. We move for a reason. The main mode of instrumentation being body articulation. Non-verbal communication passed down from past generations. In general, this is culture. Cultivated from the concept of expression. A story of glorification told through a stomp and a clap. A boom and a tap. Two blades and a snap. It's in our DNA. We inherited this art form and made it our own. Our genealogy paved the way for this holistic maelstrom of maneuvers, this barrage of balance and coordination, this spiritual sensation, ancestral spirits reawakened. This is life, a celebration of all it entails. We clap to applaud our victories and stomp to crush how we have failed, all as one. All in one, a collective pronouncement showing that we are one. In the beginning, all we had was the beat. The sound was soulful salvation. The tone of the tune was the embodiment of liberation. In America, before the proclamation of our emancipation, the rhythm was our freedom. Detained by the shackles of oppression, fervently denied the right to read, look, and listen. Our mission was freedom of expression, all in one. All as one. Since we missed it, this was us making our Liberty Bell ring, breaking barriers. This is why the cage bird sings. This is hope. Cognition in the physical. It's more than just coordinated noise. This is a voice. This is spirit. Before we learned to read a Bible, the rhythm was our religion. This is faith. We step forward progressively, always moving forward, never back. Electrifying, the radiance rivaling power surges as the tempo is kept intact with a stomp and a clap, a boom and a tap, two blades and a snap. This is love. This is belief in the flesh as we embrace our roots. Recollect our pain, reflect on our gains, recognize our contribution, exude our truth, illuminate our presence, revitalization of our roots out of respect for Africa. I'm gonna get dressed now. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate you and I love y'all. Y'all have a great night.
Mark me up.
Sorry.
Brother. You can't top that. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Good stuff, brother. You got it. You got it, brother. So good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to see all of you here. I want to first acknowledge my wife and my beautiful family over here. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. The Divine Nine. Let me first do a shout out of the Divine Nine. First, we have Kappa Alpha Psi. Where you at?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Kappa Alpha Psi. That's one. Alpha Phi Alpha. Where you at? Nobody. That's all right. Phi Beta Sigma. Iota Phi Theta. Omega Psi Phi. All right. For the ladies, Delta Sigma Theta. You better stand on up, Miss Sandra. You better represent.
She about to step.
Oh. Alpha Kappa Alpha. Sigma Gamma Rho.
All right.
And Zeta Phi Beta.
Z5B.
That's right. So, before we can get into the Divine Nine, or the D9 as it's called, we also have to acknowledge the historical black colleges and universities and how they were created. They were created because they didn't have a seat at the table, so they created their own table. The same thing with the Divine Nine. They didn't have a seat at the table, so they created their own table. All of this originated in the early 20th century, in the early 1900s. All of us have different principles, but they all come from the same nucleus of community involvement. Whether it's racial inequality, supporting scholarships, supporting one another, a brother or sister in need, that's where it started. Along the way, just like us right now, we caused our own demise and we caused our own division. Sometimes you'll see in undergrad, as we call it, you'll see divisions and cliques and treated as gangs. And that's a trick of the enemy. So that's one thing I want to hit with. I want to acknowledge everything that we've accomplished, but I also want to make sure we have a present mindset of we are not there yet. We are far from it. And I know a lot has gone on in the past month. And I know a lot of people are worried and concerned, but our ancestors built their own table, and we can too. So with the Divine Nine, you have from Alpha Phi Alpha, you have Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you have from Omega Psi Phi, Jesse Jackson. All these, they didn't make excuses, they made results. So let's not spend time on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, debating and arguing with one another and others. Let's spend time problem solving. I don't remember what I said, brother. I'm just flowing. But it's real. It's real. Right now, I don't see color when I look at anybody in here. I see light. I see the divine spark in all of us that the divine creator gave all of us. And it's all in love, because God is love. So I want to acknowledge that, because I know we're supposed to stay, non-religious, but it's real. It's real. It was real for our ancestors. It was real in Africa. Stepping began in Africa, in South African mines. They had gum boots and they were working in terrible conditions, and they needed something to lift up their spirits. So they took on stepping. So let's get to stepping. Let's build our prosperity now. Let's not wait on government. Let's not wait on others. Let's depend on one another, and let's let our light shine. God bless y'all. So my fraternity brothers had to help another brother in need, because that's what we do. So I'll be representing solo on behalf of the Gamma Nu chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So bear with me. I ate a little too much of the waffles, so I gotta loosen up.
Oh yeah.
Q side, Q side, five. Well, let's win ball, buddy ball. Yes, me clackety clap. Let's set this hop on out. Well, it's your hop, baby, it's your hop. Well, it's your hop, baby, it's your hop. Well, it's me Q, me side, me Q side, five. Roll a sing-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. It goes up. Q side. Roll a sing-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. It goes up. Spin it. Q side. Q.
No worries. Councilman Kenny Johnson, give it up one more time. Yeah. I was afraid for my face and this projector right here. Yeah, he was mighty close. Thank you, brother, for keeping me safe tonight. I appreciate that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next up, we will have Danielle Kane, an aerospace engineering student and president of Florida Tech's National Society of Black Engineers, come up and share some interesting information on what we now refer to as the Black National Anthem, followed by a mini podcast production by Dr. Ted Peterson, associate professor and chair of the undergraduate communication program and the School of Arts and Communication, and director of the student media.
Yep. Okay, I think I've got it on there. Well, good evening, everyone. As was previously mentioned, my name is Danielle Kane, and I'm the current president of the National Society of Black Engineers here on campus. And first of all, I want to say it is such an honor to speak to you all tonight at the 10th annual African American Reading Event. I'm so grateful to be a part of this legacy that's been set here on campus. And I want to share with you a little bit about the history of the Black National Anthem, also known as Lift Every Voice and Sing. And the reason I wanted to bring this to you all tonight is because, Lift Every Voice and Sing has been kind of ingrained into my brain ever since I've been really young. My mother made sure to really have this be instilled into me. And I was talking with some of my friends here on campus, and I figured out that it's not exactly common knowledge for people to know what it is. And for example, I was talking with some people and I mentioned the Black National Anthem, and they were like, "Is that a Kendrick Lamar song?" And I said, "Is it a Kendrick Lamar song? What do you mean? You've never heard of it?" I even sang the part that everyone knows, the sing a song, and they still had no idea what I was talking about. So I thought it would be cool to share that. I think Dr. Nicklo shared earlier that she was talking about James Weldon Johnson. He was who wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing in 1900, a former leader of the NAACP. That was actually something that I didn't know when I was researching this, but something that was very cool to find out. And it was turned into a song by his brother, John Rosamond Johnson. That's where the actual song comes from. And being really into music myself, I thought it was interesting that it was written in A major originally, which is a common key for many spirituals and gospels to be written in. And even the actual architecture of the music itself, when you start singing it and it goes lift every voice, and it kind of builds up to that point, that was all done on purpose, which not something that you think about when you hear it, but after knowing that and listening to it again, it's really cool to see that with the lyrics being uplifting, that the music itself also follows that same type of structure. It was first publicly performed in Jacksonville, Florida, which I knew it was from Florida. I didn't know it was, so close to here. It was at Stanton School, and then just some information about the impact of the song is that it prominently has been used as a rally cry or to bring people together during the Civil Rights Movement, which took place during the 50s and 60s. Now, to have this be an impactful event, I was just going to read it. I will sing the first verse to you all, but I need you to know that I do not claim to be a singer. I used to be in choir, but I just thought it would be really cool if you all know. Please sing with me. I would appreciate the support. But I have the first verse listed here, and I think on the next slide there should also be a video that has the words on it, and that's what I will be using to sing it. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory is won. And that is it for my portion. Thank you all for your time.
You just click it on and then speak into this one.
Okay.
This is what
You gotta follow someone, none of it would be any good. This has been awesome, my favorite event of the year, and I host an event that I think is pretty cool, but this one's even better. All right. Okay. Graduation is one of those lines in people's lives. There's a before and there's an after, but it's usually small and personal. I crossed that line. My world is different. I'm an adult. But when Sandra Pelham graduated from Stone High School in Melbourne, Florida in 1967, the world was different.
We just basically started our first year there and ended our last year there. We didn't know we was going to do history at that time, but
She didn't know it, but she was living through a historic shift.
we are the last graduating class. Little did we know that the integration was coming about at that time, and segregation was basically over, and you had to integrate.
Miss Pelham, her cousin Janice Jackson, and her classmates were the last class of graduating seniors from Stone. Her younger brother and his teammates a year behind her would finish their senior year at Melbourne High School. My understanding of this period has always been simple and naive. Born 13 years after and 1,500 miles north of that graduating class, I thought I knew the story of segregation and integration. It was simple. Segregation was awful.
We went to a pharmacy on US 1. We couldn't even eat. You know, we had to go home and eat. If we was there and real hungry, we couldn't eat there. We couldn't go to the movies. We had to go in the back, cross the bridge, come in the back door by the garbage can if we wanted to go to the movie. I I guess that caused you to have more hatred in your heart that, wow, I got to go through all this to live in this world. You know, you're like, Lord, why us and all that? We didn't have the best of everything. We had secondhand books. We had secondhand everything. But with the secondhand stuff we had, we did the best we could.
I thought I knew all that. I'd seen the movies and read the books about how horrible segregation was. It had to end.
And I think when we got in 10th grade, you could integrate if you wanted to. But by the time we got to 12th grade, it was no choice because the laws had changed. We had about 6 of our black kids who transferred over there before integration, before they had to. But we had no white kids that I can remember that came over to Stone.
I knew segregation was unjust, but Miss Pelham surprised me. She said integration was
even worse. Well, when I say even worse, at least segregation, I know I was going to be with my people. But integration, you don't know what to expect or what will happen. You don't know whether you're going to get beat up, jumped on, cursed, called names. It was the unknown that was bothering us mentally. I understand integration today, but you're talking about, 50-some years ago. And we didn't know what to expect.
I never thought about the learning environment in those integrated classrooms.
That's why I say they were being yanked from their past school, and the one across the beach was being yanked. Nobody wanted to integrate. So there's bad feeling already in the air. And how you gonna work to study, I don't know.
Dr. King said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. I think that's true, but the word arc sounds so smooth, so beautiful, like a Jalen Hurts pass, perfectly thrown football that lands right in stride in the receiver's hands, or like a Steph Curry 3, so accurate that it barely moves the net. That's a beautiful arc. It relies on God's gravity and the laws of physics. But the arc of the moral universe isn't so smooth. It wasn't for Miss Pelham, her class, and the classes after them. Oops. Sorry. Can you pause that? Okay, sorry. Gravity won't make the arc bend. It bends because people make it bend. With their own body weight and muscle, ideas and words and songs, they hang on, sometimes physically, to pull it toward justice. It's not inevitable, it's not consistent, it's not easy. Not in 1960, not in 1860, not in 2025. Miss Pelham graduated into a new world, an integrated world. The arc was bending.
And when we did realize that, I think it just hit us in the head. We're the last one. And we just looked at the day we graduated. It wasn't about the fact that we wouldn't be coming back then. Stone history, Stone High School history ends tonight. And we just sit there, holding on to each other with our robe on, looking back at Stone. And this is it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Danielle and Dr. Peterson, for sharing that history. And just very quickly, we're coming to a close here. When you think about desegregation and integration here, when you look at just the Supreme Court case of Brown versus Board in 1954, Chief Justice Earl Warren had gave states the instruction to integrate schools with all deliberate speed. When you think about what deliberate speed means, I mean, take your time, right? At your own will and pleasure. And so then you had Brown versus the Board of Education came about because you had all of these attorney generals of various states writing amicus briefs, or as we know here, we had the Southern Manifesto, which you had a lot of senators tapping on saying that they did not want schools to be integrated. I think our senator at that particular point in time who signed on that Southern Manifesto was Spencer Holland. There's a beach named after him, right? So with that being said, when you think about Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, there was an attorney by the name of Francisco Rodriguez who was a part of the NAACP. And he was the attorney that was really spearheading integrating schools. He was actually tapped here to integrate schools in Brevard County. And so then you had Weaver versus the Board of Public Instruction of Brevard County in 1961, which was the catalyst for schools to be segregated here and integrated in Brevard. And then you look at 1961, but truthfully, when you talk about not only schools being integrated, but when you even look at the busing situation, if you want to include that full integration, desegregation and integration in Brevard really didn't even come to fruition until about 1973. Right? So you look from 54 versus Brown v. Board, almost 20 years later. That's how hard the battle was, right? And Zora Neale Hurston had the same mindset as you, Ms. Pelham, in terms of looking at desegregation and integration. It was tough, right? It was a hard thing to get used to. And Zora Neale Hurston looked at it from a different perspective, who also was a teacher here, right? But she didn't believe in integration from the mere fact that she didn't want us to consider ourselves less than because our history is so rich. We didn't need to integrate to be or to feel important. And so I can go on. I don't want to, oh my gosh. We can talk all night, but Dr. Peterson, that was outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you so much. So, I know that I'm not alone in seeing how exploring the Black history thread of the United States sheds light on many layers of American life. And so our final look at Black luminaries hits very close to home. It hits very close to home. Local educator, entrepreneur, and community activist Dr. Terry Jones highlights the lasting legacy of the city of Melbourne's three founders.
Thank you, Jordan. I want to start by saying, young man, I know you talked about your thesis, but at least 5 years from now, I want you standing up here as Dr. Jordan Chandler. Can we get a hurrah? All right, you got it. You're too brilliant not to move forward with your education. I want to start by saying good evening, community, friends, colleagues, and most importantly, thank you to the administration, staff, and faculty for continuing the annual celebration of Black History Month, and congratulations for achieving your 10th year anniversary of the African American Read-In. Let's give them a round of applause. As already stated, I'm Dr. Terry Jones, also an alum of FIT, And for years, I have researched to uncover the untold history of Melbourne's true founders, Peter Wright, Wright brothers, and Balaam Allen. These men and their wives, Leah Wright, Mary Brothers, and Selina Allen, were not only pioneers, but visionaries who carved a homeland for their families and descendants to follow from the unforgiving swamplands of Crane Creek's landscape. Their resilience, sacrifice, and determination built the foundation of Melbourne, yet their stories have remained largely untold until tonight. My research, beginning in 2012, represents an odyssey of uncovering and digging through mounds of documents such as census reports, land deeds, microfiche, oral history recordings, newspaper articles, and several publications that scarcely, mind you, scarcely touched on the founders' foundational contribution to the building of Melbourne. Collectively, these research materials help piece together the story and the legacy of Melbourne's founders that I am honored to share with Brevard's community and beyond. There's not enough time this evening to share my complete research, but it will be disclosed in my future book that is scheduled to be published early next year. All right? However, this evening I am honored to share some highlights from my research about the founders. Starting with Peter Wright. He was fondly known as the Sailing Mailman. He was a former slave who was freed at the end of the American Civil War. He sailed to Crane Creek in 1867 with his wife Leah Wright and former owner to establish his homestead. Peter Wright was deeded 160 acres of prime property north of Crane Creek. He had this huge two-story house, including all of the Front Street property. As the Sailing Mailman, Peter Wright navigated the Indian River Lagoon to deliver mail from Titusville to Malabar. As a landowner, he farmed citrus groves of oranges, grapefruits, mangoes, pineapples, and potatoes. Over time, he relocated to Rockledge and finally settled in cocoa, where he passed at the age of 83 in 1925. Today, he is buried at the Hilltop Cemetery in Cocoa. Wright Brothers. Wright Brothers is recorded as settling into Crane Creek as a freedman around the early 1870s with his wife, Mary. Mary Brothers was also a midwife. He was deeded approximately 7.5 acres of land south of Crane Creek. It's important to understand who was north and who was south. He also farmed citrus groves, and he also worked in the pineapple fields on the Barrier Islands. In his later years, Wright Brothers operated the first grocery store on Lipscomb Street. Wright Brothers' firstborn son, Rufus Brother, was the firstborn child in Melbourne, 1881. And he was also the first black child to attend the Little Red Schoolhouse, which is on this campus at the Botanical Gardens, as it was restored and it's there today. It was in his home, he, his wife, and 2 other couples organized the first church in Melbourne, Greater Allen AME Chapel. The chapel was built in 1885. In 1910, Wright Brothers passed at the age of 65, and today he is buried in Line Street Cemetery, which is here in Melbourne. Balaam Allen, although there is little information documented on him, Balaam Allen and his wife Selina Allen also freed from slavery, settled into the south area of Crane Creek around the early 1870s. Balin Allen farmed citrus groves on his deeded property. He and his wife were one of the other couples who contributed to the founding of Greater Allen AME Chapel. Balaam Allen passed at a more youthful age, the age of 48, in 1883, after suffering from years of rheumatism. He is also buried in Line Street Cemetery without a grave marker. What year is it today? What year did he pass? Do the math. This is why I am honored today to partner with HDMI Studios. The producers here tonight, I'm going to ask them to stand very quickly. Mark Spade Smith, please stand, sir. Who represents the production company that is bringing this story to life through the film feature Crane Creek Film. This is not just a historical retelling. It is a cinematic restoration of truth, reclaiming the narrative of Melbourne's original founders, Melbourne's original pioneers. To celebrate this milestone and officially launch the film's journey, I invite you to join us for a special evening on Friday, April 11th at the Gleason Auditorium at Florida Institute of Technology, right here, around the corner. This cocktail reception will be a moment to honor the past while looking ahead to the future, connecting community leaders, artists, and supporters who believe in the power of this story. Final slide, please. While this film will be a major contributor to telling the story of Melbourne's founders, I'm honored that this film will play a pivotal role in connecting our entire community. For instance, this slide you're looking at now illustrates other community programs that are also honoring Melbourne's founders. Tomorrow morning, there is a second annual prayer breakfast at 8 o'clock at the Hilton Rialto. Tomorrow afternoon at 11 a.m., there's a grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony at Wright Brothers Restored Home at the Greater Allen AME Chapel. And the restored home is right across the street. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, friends, community supporters, history is just not something we study. It provides an insight on how we live, play, and work in today's Melbourne. When we bring lost or forgotten historical stories back to light, we don't just connect with the past, we connect with each other. We connect with each other. The struggles, sacrifices, and victories of the men and women whose shoulders we stand on remind us of the greatness and their greatness, which is never forgiven or has never been given. It is carved out, fought for, and built with determination. Let us honor them, let us remember them, and let us ensure their legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones, for filling us with that meaningful local history. Now we couldn't let this momentous occasion come to a close or an end tonight without having a powerhouse of a sister share where all of this history, all of the hopes, dreams, thoughts, achievements, and innovations of the people go from here. Let's welcome up Carol Chisholm, a truly gifted singer, songwriter, speaker, and author. And the next voices you will hear after Carol will be that of Dr. Nancy Garmer, Associate Dean of Libraries here in the Evans Center, and Dr. Heidi Edwards, Professor and Head of Florida Tech's School of Arts and Communications.
Walking with my face turned to the sun, weight on my shoulders, pulling oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, and just in case I have to run, I do what I can when I can, what I can for my people. While the stars fill the sky and the clouds roll away, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river, and you see freedom calling, calling to answer, to keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, gotta start moving towards that separating line. Waiting in muddy water, you know I gotta wait of mine. If I lose any blood on the way to salvation, I will fight with the strength that I got till I die. That's when I'm going to stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face, 'cause I'm alone. But I just may fail, but God knows I tried. Sure as the stars fill the sky, stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I can hear it calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Hello. Loud. We have heard some tremendous voices this evening, and thank you all for coming and participating. I'm the Associate Dean of Libraries, and we've been hosting this event for 10 years, and it warms my soul to see you all here, to have this community, to have this event that keeps on giving, and I just want to thank everybody so much. This is a collaboration between the School of Arts and Communication and the library and you, and all these beautiful voices and all the education and stories you bring. So thank you.
This week, we have been celebrating Free Speech Week at Florida Tech, and I'm always thrilled when the read-in falls into place at the culmination of this week, celebrating our First Amendment freedoms. Throughout the week, we've had serious discussions about the guarantees our Constitution gives us and all the rights and responsibilities to speak and express ourselves, to share information and understanding, and to gather together as we are doing this evening. As you know, this event started 10 years ago when Joy Patterson, over here, one of our outstanding English instructors, was sparked into action by a professional English teachers organization. They were trying to get English teachers across the country to start read-ins to promote literacy and raise awareness of the works of Black authors and poets. That first event 10 years ago, organized by Joy, Nancy Garmer, Rolanda Gallup, and now retired librarian Linda Kahn, has grown and evolved. It brings me great joy to see and feel tonight the wonderful connections that have grown over the years within our community, and I thank you all for being here. On behalf of the School of Arts and Communication, I extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who worked so hard to make this incredible event happen, and they do this every year, and it is so, so much. Thank you to our MC Jordan, to our performers, yes, please. To our audio-visual guru, Martin Gallagher, for his expertise back there. We are grateful to you all and to the library for this wonderful partnership over the years. We really, really do appreciate you. And thank you also and especially to the event organizers for this year, Nancy Garmer, Rolanda Gallup, and Felipa Chavez. And we have a small token. Where's Felipa? There she is. We have a small token of appreciation for Nancy and Rolanda, who for the last 10 years have made the African American Read-In their labor of love. Please join me in thanking them for their decade of hard work. Thank you, Felipa. She was part of this group this year, and we're so happy to have her join us as well. Thank you all, and I can't wait to see you next year, and I'm going to hand it back over to Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards and Nancy. Wow, what a night. I know all of our hearts and our bellies are full after this wonderful event. Dr. Jones touched on it, but once again, just recapping some of these events. The founders, Melbourne's founders and Concerned Citizens, let me back up here. The Concerned Citizens Committee of South Brevard will host a Founders Monument fundraiser and prayer breakfast, which they talked about. In remembrance of our founders, that breakfast is from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Hilton Rialto. Coco Mayor Mike Blake is the keynote speaker. I think there are some tickets in the house if you want to buy some. Yeah, last call. So please see Joe McNeil over here, okay? Once again, the Greater Allen Development Corp will have a ribbon cutting ceremony and grand opening of the Founders Museum, Crane Creek, tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at It's right across the street from Great Island Chapel AME. And then also Marcus Smith in the ACE movement presents Brevard's Got Talent Black History event tomorrow night at the historic American Legion Post 191. Tickets are $10 and the doors open at 8 p.m. and the show starts at 9. All right? Once again, thank you all so much for, I'm sorry. You know what? That was 4 minutes. And also, we have the Little Black Book Drive going on at this particular point in time. If you would like to donate books and or make a monetary contribution towards the purchasing of books, you can see none other than Mr. Jeff Gallup himself. Okay? All right? Thank you all so much once again for coming out tonight. My wife is not here. I think my grandmother might have left. So I want to honor one person here tonight. I don't think I've ever done this publicly, but this guy who I've been sitting next to, he's about the next thing after that. But Dave Linden, stand up, Dave. Let me see you. Yeah. He's not only Nancy's husband, but Dave was my mentor in elementary school from 2nd to 6th grade. I couldn't take him to middle school or high school with me, but we stayed in contact ever since then. He has been a part of every single major event in my life. He's been there for elementary graduation, high school graduation. He was at my wedding. So Dave has been an instrumental figure in my life, and I cannot thank you enough for all that you have poured into me. As we close tonight, waking y'all up because I know y'all falling asleep. Yeah. As we close tonight, in this world that we have to experience, there are some words that I think should and can encourage each and every single one of us. It was probably one of my favorite speeches, but it was given by a man by the name of Dr. Martin Luther King, and his mountaintop speech. But on April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King encouraged that Memphis crowd. He said, "Let us rise up with a greater readiness." He said, "Let us stand with a greater determination. Let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge to make America what it ought to be." He said, "Yes, we've got some difficult days ahead, but surely it really doesn't matter with us now. Because we as a people, we have been to the mountaintop." Dr. King said, and he looked over and he saw the promised land. And he said, some may not get there with us. But in all the travails and travesties that we have to deal with in life, that we as a people, if we be steadfast, if we be unmovable, if we always abound in the work, then we as a people, surely we will get to the promised land. Thank you all tonight. Savage Joy, take us home.